Hey guys, so it's been a while since the last video, and this is just worth posting. Honestly, today it's absolutely beautiful here in Flatrock. I'm actually out with my t-shirt on. I mean, what more could you ask for on April the 1st? I mean, April the 1st, who's ever heard of that? So early here in Newfoundland, have beautiful weather. I could be outdoors with a t-shirt on. Anyway, it's just part of the April Fools. Honestly, spring is not here. It's actually pretty cold. It's nice against the sun here on the wall, but honestly, I'm gonna go grab my coat and then I'm gonna get back so we can do a quick tour of the homestead to see how things did during the winter. Sorry about that, I couldn't help myself. Ta-da! Okay, that's more like it. Here we go. So as you can see, it's April the 1st. We still have an amazing amount of snow. Right now I'm stood on about 3 feet. You can see I'm actually above the window over here at the front of the house. And as you can see down here where the cellar is, I can't even see the top of the cellar. There's almost 7 feet of snow down here. But in the areas where, you know, the food forest is up right here, actually this actually worked out really well. So you can see this southern edge. It's one of the first things that loses snow. This is where our asparagus is, all the way along here, and a variety of fruit trees all the way along this southern edge. And this actually fared really well. We don't have a lot of snow here this year. I mean, enough that, you know, that these trees will stay dormant for a while, but in general I feel like it was good placement. And other than that, I can't see any of the garden beds. It won't be a year like last year where we were able to get outside working in the garden. You know, the 13th of March, I think. Yeah, those days maybe are gone for this year. I don't think it's going to happen. And even as we speak, I'm walking over the garlic beds on about 2 feet of snow. Oh look, there's some soil. Not enough to garden in right yet. The cellar is completely banked in. In fact, I'm afraid to walk here. The cellar is kind of down there in that pit, which is pretty wild. This area here on the southern face where I kind of built up, you know, a check log terrace and swaled it for these fruit trees. This is all good. It's on a south facing slope. Not surprising. Likewise over here for these raspberries. Things on the south facing sides of things I think are starting to wake up. You can really see the form on a lot of these trees now. They're actually really starting to wake up from their winter slumber, which is great. This year we had sick chickens. You know, unfortunately those things happen, and you know, we had to call 2 and we lost 2 more, but with some medication and a little bit of help, there they are. They're all good over there now. I feel like they're glad winter is over also. Into the greenhouse. So luckily, you know, we grow all year. Let me turn off some stuff here so I can hear what we're doing, hear and see. Luckily we can grow all year, and it is a blessing to be able to work this soil right through the winter and get produce. Here now, mostly we're finished off for the winter in terms of our winter production stuff. This will be the last grouping of winter greens that we'll put in. Mainly because in 2 weeks' time, I'll be on par with planting my tomatoes the way that I usually do. Although last night the temperature in here did dip to about 6 Celsius, so I may need to use that emergency heater over here in order to kind of keep the temperature 10 and above. I like to do that for about 2 weeks in April, and after that we should be fine. On days like this, it's great. The temperature in here now is about It's about 23 degrees, and there's lots of sunlight, as you can see. Everything is very, very bright, but the cloudy days, temperature is dipping below. Now, this time of the year, what do I do in here? Well, I trim back my fig trees. That's really the big job. Now, these fig trees were way up to here, and now they've been trimmed way back, all the way down to kind of 5 or 6 inches, and to an outward facing bud on each one of these branches. And each one of these branches, as they grow, will just be trellised up that line. And this has worked really well for a fig here in this greenhouse. And we get very few Breba crop figs because we cut back so much of last year's hardwood, but we get mainly main crops. So and they tend to be better anyway. And from the cuttings, we'll propagate. You can see I got a few going here now. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going. I got room for about 50 more this year. Fig trees are real producers. They're very prolific. So once you get them going, you can keep making cuttings all throughout the spring, really. As long as the buds haven't broke dormancy, you can just start cutting off as you want to, really. But generally, I just kind of take one big cutting and then I basically cut them into pieces, and I'll get into that at some point, maybe in some videos. But in general, they're super easy. Whether or not they would overwinter here, probably. I mean, we're really kind of zone 5B, 6A, and I feel like if we were to take those and mulch them really well outside, kind of down against the ground, we might do it. And I got enough fig trees here now that I might experiment with it this year just to try it. Next big thing coming up, of course, for April, if April actually does, become conducive to planting outside, is alliums. So we have shallots, a red onion, a storage white onion, and leeks, and that's pretty much it. My garlic, obviously, this year is all outside in the ground. No propagation of garlic via bulbils this year, but that may come at some point. And the other thing that really is going at this point is celeriac. Celeriac's super long. It takes a long time to germinate. The seeds need light and heat. So I typically start them sometime around February, and then I put them on a heating mat, and then by the time 4 weeks is up, this is about how big they are. And I usually start them off in a tray like this, and then I tease each one out and put them into their individual cells. And I'll pot these up later before they go out. And I usually don't plant them outside until June. I figure I'd give them a good head start before getting them out. Otherwise, the yields end up being lower than what I would like. So when you're growing in a greenhouse like this, right now, this is really kind of late spring. The fig trees were actually starting to break dormancy. It's getting warm in the daytime when it's sunny, which really means it's starting to trigger plants that were planted during winter to actually bolt. And you can see that that there is already starting to bolt. That's a Mizuna. And there's some types of cabbages and stuff here that are starting to bolt, which means that it's about the transition time now. It's time for us to move into our tomato crop, which has been started inside. This year we're growing 3 varieties. Over the last few years, I've managed to determine that there are some varieties that just do well. There are some varieties that just do better than others in terms of production. We're all about producing as much as we can as quickly as we can, within the short window of time that we have, so we can get it processed and put away. And I typically grow a Matina hybrid, which is actually a great tomato, a Granadero hybrid, which is also another really quickly producing tomato, and a Pulbig, which is more of a determinate type, but it's like a big slicing kind of tomato you use for sandwiches and that kind of stuff. But the other ones are really good for salsas, and they tend to be really sweet. The Granadero is almost like a Roma, so it's great for making sauces and stuff. And so those guys are going to get out here soon. And that's about it. Anyway, thanks for joining us. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. There's more stuff coming. And we'll see you guys very, very soon.